Welcome, everybody. How are you doing today? It's so very nice to have you here. I really hope that everybody is doing really well. I am myself doing well, still masking up whenever I go outside, socially distancing, and still staying at home as much as possible. This really is a unique time that can be both challenging and exhilarating. Challenging because so much is arising for everybody, so much is present, and exhilarating because it provides such a much stronger opportunity for freedom. And I just want to remind us all that everything that arises here is natural. It's always like that, right? But especially now, so much is going on in the world, politically and in other ways, and with the pandemic and with economy and with the racial injustice. So much is happening globally, uh, collectively, individually. So much is present. And so to remember moment by moment by moment that everything that arises here is normal, is natural. It is always like that, but especially now. And I also want to tell you that I feel really encouraged as we are sitting together in programs and in private sessions, encouraged to see that when there is a stronger commitment to freedom, when there is a willingness to address the tendencies that arise here. And these days, for so many of us, our deepest tendencies are present. So when there is the willingness and commitment to be present to that, to address this, there really is a real transformation. And so realizing this even stronger invitation for awakening, embodiment, and freedom, I have created this 3-week program that will start in September. Freedom in times of COVID, breaking the illusion of separation, and expanding our capacity to live in world in peace. Very powerful, right? COVID, freedom, breaking the illusion of separation, and expanding our capacity to live in peace. So separation is an illusion. And we can know this experientially. I'm so happy to take you there. It's an illusion because we experience separation as we habitually identify ourselves as this sense of I or as this body. And that can be known experientially as an illusion. And we can break through this illusion experientially also. Nervous system and its capacity to be here, as you know by now, is such a key for awakening, embodiment, and freedom. To be able to be present to what arises here and to have the resilience, to be able to really meet the past that it arises. And especially right now, considering what life circumstances are bringing and how our nervous systems and brains are responding to that. So key, growing that capacity of the nervous system to be here. Karma, destiny, and free will. There's so much misunderstanding about karma, destiny, and I use these words interchangeably, karma, destiny. There's so much misunderstanding about that, karma, destiny, and free will. And I love to be able to clarify this for you. I also find that it's so amazing and powerful that we are going through this COVID pandemic globally, collectively, that everybody is affected by that. That is such a unique karmic event, and because of that, it creates such a powerful opportunity for freedom, for liberation. I also want to speak a little bit in our intensive about embodying of challenging states like fear, anxiety, anger, frustration. Again, both collectively and individually, we have a much lower threshold for stress right now. There's so much going on, right? Many things that used to be easy in life, now even the easy things are more stressful, right? So we are bound to experience more reactivity in our nervous systems. And so often, because of our past, some of these states really remain disembodied. That means when they arise, they just take your attention, or there's an explosiveness to it, or there is a withdrawal and denial. And I want to show you how we can be present here, how we can embody these more challenging states. And so, as in all our intensives, there will be time, of course, for sharing questions and answers, for practice together. I'm always very happy for us to be together, and we will be, practicing inquiry together as well. But if there's time, I also want to speak a little bit more about relating or being relational. How to be relational, being in the world, being relational from presence. So this really is a unique time. And I want to invite you to participate in this intensive as a way to deepen your commitment to presence, as a way to deepen your commitment to awakening, embodiment, and freedom. So let's take a little moment right now and just sit with your eyes open. Direct your attention here. Notice what is actually present right now. It's so powerful to just take a moment, right? Because we spend so much time usually in conflict with what is, rather than just in noticing, in noticing of what is present. And that noticing, of course, naturally, spontaneously, almost instantaneously, takes us back to noticing and knowing presence. So I want to encourage you to do this drop in for a moment, be here as many times as you can, as you remember during the day. At night also, if you remember, drop in, be here. And if you enjoy this video or any of my other videos, please share this, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and also subscribe to our emailing list so that you can receive direct messages from me, communications from me, and information about any new videos. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing you in our intensive in September.